Hey guys, and last month I launched a new series on Nuke to Fridge Gaming, and this series focuses on the behind the scenes from everything from video games, the development, collectors, toys, and this week I actually had something really cool. So with Anime Expo, like less than 7 days at this point right now of filming, uh, I wanted to find some. I wanted to get some more information on how it is to run a con, how it is to uh, schedule, how it is like to deal with something that's grown so exponentially over the years. So I had a chance to sit down and chat with one of Anime Expo's PR team and talk about the convention. So I hope you guys enjoy, and if you like these type of videos, please like, subscribe, and share. I'll be posting this video on Nuke the Fridge Gaming's main channel, but make sure you also check out all of our content on Nuke the Fridge Gaming. Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, welcome to the second episode of our chat with some very interesting people. This week I have a really cool guest. Anime Expo's 2 weeks, no, not even 2 weeks. Sorry, it's about 8 days from right now from recording. So this will probably be up in the next day or two. But introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Hi everyone, I'm Meg from SPJA. I started going to Anime Expo in 2004, and I joined the organization in 2013, late 2013. And at this point, I've been going to Anime Expo more than half my life, which is crazy to think about. But the short of it is that Anime Expo really means a lot to me, and I love the community. I forgot to say what I actually do at SPJA, so I do. I am assistant marketing manager, so social media, the merchandising, all the design stuff. That's kind of the stuff that I work on.
2004, wow, that's quite a long time now, 15 years. I've actually been going since about 2001 off and on, though. I think I really started going more around 2006, and then I've been going nonstop since then. So have you? So you've just been mostly going. Originally, you went just as a regular attendee, and then 16 you said, or
2013 is when I joined the organization. I did volunteer for a little bit prior to that, before officially joining.
So you got to see three different sides of, just regular attendee, working there as random jobs, pretty much, right? When you do attendee, sorry.
Volunteering?
Yeah, volunteering, thank you.
Yeah, well, since I've been attending Anime Expo for so long, I, like most people, just made a lot of friends there. I made friends with other attendees. They were like my con friends. I made friends with the volunteers there, too. And they were the ones who kind of first they convinced my sister to volunteer, my older sister, and then eventually I kind of got into it. I started volunteering funnily enough, in press relations.
Nice.
And so it's I've always been very focused on sort of the marketing field personally, but I do kind of hear a lot from all the different volunteers about what they do and all the things that go into running their different areas. And it's just really awesome to hear, like them talk about things that I just am not familiar with. And I've learned so much, about like AMV community, tabletop gaming, and they're just like so passionate about it, and then they can bring that to AX and for the attendees and have a good time.
It's now that we've both been going for quite a long time, it's kind of insane to see how big this has grown. I remember it's been in Long Beach, LA Convention Center, I think Anaheim at one point. Just for you, seeing as attendee and working there, how is it for you seeing this thing just massively grow with like so many, concerts that we've had, like some great guest of honors, everything? Just how has it been for you?
Okay, real quick before I answer that, I'm gonna plug in my hard line.
Go for it.
Okay. So it's definitely been really incredible how much AX has grown since, first going in 2004. When I first started with the organization in 2013-14, that's when AX was experiencing tremendous growths in attendance, and it was really, really hard. So I don't know if you remember, but in 2013 and 14 and 15, attendance grew by 30%, 20%, and that equals like 20,000 people in 1 year. So that was definitely, huge. And I think every year we definitely plan as best as we can for the event, but it's an event, it's a live event, things are happening, and you can always plan for, all these different potential outcomes. But when your event grows by 20% and it's like, or 30%, and that's 20,000 people, I mean, I don't know that anyone could really have foreseen that, to that extent.
Yeah, it's got to be also a challenge for you guys because all of a sudden you got all these growth and things you never prepared for suddenly just randomly happen.
Right, and then things that worked when we were a 40, 50,000 person event, they don't necessarily work when you're a 60,000 person, 80,000 person event. That scaling is kind of a thing that you got to work out. And I know sometimes people give us a lot of slack because AX is a really big event. They should know what they're doing. And I know in a previous year, we did like a year in review. And I was really upfront. I was like, hey guys, yeah, we're a big event, but it's not like we've been a 100,000 person event forever.
Yeah.
It's only been like, 2 years or 3 years at the time that I wrote this post. I think it was only 2 years, under our belt of kind of having that number of people. But yeah, since then, our team has worked really hard to make sure that things go a lot more smoothly, and every year we get better and better.
No, you have. I especially like how you ship out badges now rather than the horrors of people having to wait on day 0. Those old stories and everything.
My very first year at Anime Expo, I waited in line for 7 hours. Because that was when they were still doing registration by paper.
Yeah.
Right, and I didn't know that you could buy your badge online, so I just showed up, and yeah. I just thought, well, the next year I'm gonna buy my badge early and plan ahead. So I never had an issue after that.
Nice. So you also talked about merchandising, where you work in merchandising, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about what goes into that and how you guys plan out everything.
So first, it starts with sourcing artists and working with artists to create, different artwork that we want to incorporate onto the merchandise. And from there, we kind of work with the designers and the manufacturers, the vendors to figure out, okay, last year we had a phone charger. How can we, is there a new model of a phone charger that will work better this year? Because people seem to really like the phone charger. Things like that. And then I also look for opportunities to collaborate with different brands, different titles. So this year we are collaborating with Viz for a Naruto line, which is the very first time that we're doing this. And if I'm not mistaken, the first time any other anime convention has kind of done like a collaboration with an actual anime title. And then we're also working with Omocat to produce a t-shirt and a jacket for our merch line. And it's really important to me that, Anime Expo is not just a great experience for the attendees, but that we also support the industry. And the industry includes not only the Japanese companies and the U.S. distributors, but also our exhibitors. Omocat has been an exhibitor with AX for a very long time, and they're local to California, to Southern California. So it just seemed like just a perfect fit for us, to work with them. And then another thing that I'm really excited about is we are recycling some of our old banners that are on display in the convention center. Mm-hmm. And we turn them into backpacks. So,
that's cool.
We kind of have an opportunity to have a one-of-a-kind piece of AX history.
That's actually pretty cool. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, that one, I feel it kind of slipped under the radar because there's so much stuff. And it's a really limited quantity. There's only 250 of them. Oh, wow. And they're all numbered, so that's pretty cool too.
So these are banners from previous, do you know how far back?
So the ones that we're using for this year, there's these blue banners that we printed in 2015 or 2016 in the lobby, South Hall lobby, that's sort of directed to Kintia Hall for Artist Alley. And they kind of had this like neo-futuristic look to it, but we've since sort of updated our branding, so it didn't fit anymore. So we had to retire those. So those got turned into banners. And then last year, there's one of our new banners that was over in like the food court area in South Hall. It's like one of the general wayfinding ones. And we messed up the arrows on it. So we couldn't use it again because it was the same image on both sides, and it was like, wait a minute, this doesn't work because the arrows are pointing opposite ways.
That's pretty cool and a nice way to use it. So I gotta ask you, what can attendees look forward to Anime Expo this year?
This year, we're really excited to host the debut U.S. performance for composer Yoshihiro Ike. He's known for Saint Seiya, Tiger and Bunny, Shadowverse, and he's really, really excited to come out. He'll be conducting a 50-piece orchestra with a shakuhachi flutist and a koto harpist. And there's a really interesting story. He actually discovered this singer from Canada on YouTube, and he was so blown away by her voice that he invited her to be the vocalist for one of the songs that he'll be performing. And then another really cool thing that we're doing for the first time is we're partnering up with 4DX, which is over in the Regal Cinemas, not too far from the convention center. And there's going to be the 4DX Anime Film Fest, sponsored by Sunrise. So there's going to be 2 Gundam movies and 1 Conan movie. So that's super cool because like the seats shake, they shake, and there's like the rain effects and whatnot. Unfortunately, it is a rather small theater, so it's pretty limited screening. But I mean, the fact that it's even happening, it just really opens the door to additional possibilities in the future.
I don't think we really had any anime 4DX movies, so that's actually really cool.
Yeah, totally. Of course, the exhibit hall is always very exciting and a huge thing to do and see. I know the team has worked really hard on the entertainment hall and the annex, which is sort of a new sort of curated concept space next to Artist Alley. And it's really focused on like really unique art and fashion. So there's some original like fashion brands there. There's some brands from Japan. It's a really neat space, and I hope if you have time, you could go check it out because I worked really hard on it.
Hopefully I do. The schedule is always packed, so I'm always like, I gotta decide what panels I'm gonna go to, what autograph sessions. So I don't always get the chance to go to Artist Alley, which I really want to do until like the last day, because it's always so busy.
Yeah, Artist Alley is definitely like, there's so many tables, and it's really like to see all of it, you really have to like commit.
Yeah, you do. It's since you have to walk down each aisle just to get a look at everything. But it's always really great to do.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I'm already dreading my schedule. I'm like, I haven't finalized it yet because I'm waiting for any last minute announcements. But it's just like, oh, I've got Pokemon movie on Thursday. Then I've got all this going on. I was like, it's gonna be fun, but it's always great. Look forward to it every year.
There is so much to do. You would need like a bunch of shadow clones just to see all of it.
Yeah. So for you, so what's the biggest challenge when working on a large convention like Anime Expo?
I would say definitely communication. With just so many different aspects to the event and so many different people involved, there's like a lot of information that needs to be conveyed. And then sometimes, the information that needs to be conveyed to certain people is different. So like if you're an exhibitor, you need certain information. But if you're a panelist, you need certain information. If you're an exhibitor and a panelist, like that's 2 times the amount of information. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot. It's a lot of information to communicate. And, we provide all sorts of lists and manuals and things, and people sometimes miss whatever it is the answer to their question just because there's so much. So yeah, communication.
So this is a question a lot of people always wonder. A lot of people always speculate, but I just have to ask: how far ahead do you guys look for guests for Anime Expo?
At least a year in advance.
So a year, and you just start like right after Anime Expo ends, or before Anime Expo even starts. You have a timeline like somewhere around there.
It varies. It varies. So, we're always thinking ahead. Even right now, I have a list of like, how are ways we could, make things better for 2020, and 2019 hasn't even happened yet. But yeah, it definitely, we're always thinking about how we can make AX better. So we're thinking at least a year in advance. Of course, there are times when people come to us at a later date and they say, hey, we want to pitch so and so to come to the event, or we have this project that's slated to be completed around AX. So we kind of coordinate with them because we want to make sure that not only the attendees have a good experience and a fun time, but that the industry side is successful as well.
Another follow up to that one is, well, people always wonder why guests are announced so like kind of not last minute, but like maybe a month or two beforehand
Mm-hmm.
rather than beforehand. Can you give us a look at that as like why that happens and what needs to happen for you guys to actually make these announcements?
Yeah, so we work really closely with both the Japanese licensors, creators, and studios, as well as the US distributors and licensees to announce, guests or events or content that's happening at AX. So aligning the communication timeline with both the US and the Japan side is really important. And for example, we might have to coordinate our announcement timing with their marketing plans. Um, you know, or we have to wait for them to kind of finalize some details on their end before an announcement can be made. So, like they can't announce something at Anime Expo unless something happens before that.
Makes sense. And then I guess my other question is, because I've been attending a long time, it's scheduling. Scheduling is always, I know, a challenge. But can you give us a look at how the AX team plans when a panel's happening, when a movie's happening, when a guest is signing, all that stuff?
Sure. So panel scheduling depends on a lot of different factors. We have an application period where we have everyone kind of submit, what is your panel going to be? What kind of technology do you need? What kind of room do you want? What is your preferred date or time that you want to do this panel? And, sometimes it also depends on the panelist schedule. Sometimes the talent or the panelist, they're maybe only available for one day. Can the content be live streamed? We have one room that is dedicated to being live streamed throughout the convention, but some content can't be live streamed, like premieres. So anything with like a premiere content, maybe you shouldn't go in that room. It should be over in this room. Going back to, what size room do you want? Sometimes the panelists may actually want a smaller room. They may prefer to be in a smaller room because they feel better about that size room. Like the room sizes really vary just based on what's available. So there aren't really in-between sizes if you kind of look. There's like 1,000 or 2,000. Like there's not really an in-between. And some people are like, oh, I don't know if I want to commit to like that big of a room. I'd feel better in this room. And we want to make sure that we support the industry and make sure that their activities are really successful. So we can make decisions and whatnot. But there's also some logistical things, like we have a fashion show on one of the days, and because of the time it takes to set up the runway and take out the runway, the day that the fashion show is, we pretty much commit to having that runway the whole day. So we're like, okay, if you're going to have your panel on this room and this day, are you okay with having a runway in the middle of your panel stage? Which I know some of the panelists, they really use it to their advantage. So that's a lot of fun. Other times, maybe we get a request to hold a panel time on a day or time, but then we don't actually know what's going to happen. So we just sort of hold it because, okay, company A is asking for this panel time, but then we're not really sure until later what's going to go in it. So we can't really tell or, determine if this is really the right space for it. So we just have to wait. wait for the information. So yeah, we just we have a lot of different things to take into consideration, and a lot of different things to juggle. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure we're supporting the industry and giving the attendees a good experience and a good event.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah, I can't imagine having to personally have to juggle something like that. It just sounds like absolutely insane with like so many guest panels, concerts, all that stuff. It's just, sometimes you just got to pick and choose. Simple as that.
Oh yeah, definitely. We get a lot of people complaining about conflicts and how could you make this panel at the same time as this other panel, and sometimes there was no other option. we're not trying to make people sad. That's how it kind of lined up.
Yeah, I could feel that. Like, I know there's like 2 panels I want to go to during the Pokemon movie, but that's an hour and a half movie, so I kind of have to either choose one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how it's always been, right?
Yeah.
So Anime Expo fans have also gotten pretty lucky, not only with, we've gotten some great concerts over the last decade. You brought over Anime Expo's brought over Japanese movies that haven't even been premiered in Japan, or series that we actually get to see beforehand. So most people don't know the issues with licensing or how big of a challenge that can be. So can you tell us a little bit about it and how everything gets set up right before AX?
Yeah, so first I want to say that it's not entirely luck. We do work very hard to coordinate with the industry to bring really exciting content to Anime Expo. But with that said, with any title, there's always a lot of companies involved, and that could be due to just the nature of production committees, or just based on the fact that there are different companies that handle different rights, like the manga rights versus the streaming rights versus the home distribution rights. So with all these different companies involved, that means that there's a lot of people that are involved in sort of the production of bringing that content to AX. And they're typically from both the US and the Japan sides. So just collaborating on all sides is definitely a really big part of what we do at Anime Expo, and really key to making sure that these events can run as smoothly as possible for both the attendees and the industry.
There's always those issues sometimes that come up, like last minute licensing issues where, let's say, somebody from the Japan side doesn't agree with it. So that always creates some conflict, right? Not in a bad way, just makes you have to reorganize or redo some stuff sometimes.
It really goes back to what I was saying earlier as one of the biggest challenges is just communication. So, with the time difference and just whatnot, sometimes communicating all of the information to all the different sides, it takes a lot of time. And then sometimes things don't get communicated to all the people because, we're only talking to so many people, but there's usually a lot more people involved that we may not necessarily be communicating to. So making sure everyone knows what's going on and gets all the information is a process.
Perfect. And then just for my last question, so after each, as Anime Expo's gotten bigger and we've talked about so many different things, like especially the massive growth it had over the course of those 3 years, where you saw, what was it, 30% increase, was it?
Yeah, 20,000 people, 30% increase.
30% increase. Things always change. Like you said, things don't always work the way you want to. So how does your team look to improve after complaints or people making suggestions? What do you guys do to improve the following year or the next year?
We pretty much look at everything. So after AX ends, we can take a look at everything. What worked, what could have maybe been a little bit better. And we, research and develop ways that we could improve. Sometimes that means, how can we kind of better standardize a process? How could we better communicate information to people? How could we just sort of do things so that it's like more clear and easy to understand? I'd say, for example, one thing that's been really difficult in the recent years is autograph sessions. Industry autograph sessions are all kind of run in different ways, right? And when autograph sessions are held in the exhibit hall, sometimes it could get really crazy and lines spill out into the aisleways and it causes a really big traffic jam, which is a safety concern. So, we have like an designated autograph area for people to use. And kind of organizing how people utilize it is really important. So we are working really closely with all of the industry and guest management representatives to have a better organized system and more communication as far as like ticketing those different autograph sessions. Because when you have such a big event like Anime Expo, doing things first come, first serve, it can cause some chaos.
Yeah.
for lack of a better word. And it just causes a lot of confusion too, and then a lot of disappointment. So we don't want people to feel bad because they lined up or they have a big line and they have to cut it off. And it's like, let's at least kind of manage this process a little bit better so that it's a better experience for everyone involved.
Cool. So thank you very much for that. Is there any last things you'd like to talk about or anything last thing you'd like to say before we end?
What are you most excited for at AX this year?
Man, so as somebody who's been going to quite a long time, I really just play it by ear nowadays. So I usually wait until like maybe 3 or 4 days to actually make my schedule. I'm always looking forward to the autograph sessions. Since obviously I'm press, I actually get to do a lot of interviews. So it's a way that I've actually got to talk to a lot of people that I would normally never get to. So it's really cool. I've got to meet some really great guests thanks to Anime Expo and the interview sessions. I want to see the Pokemon movie. I've just debated if I'm going to do that. My Hero Academia season 4 premiere. There's just so much I look forward to, and half the time it's just like I wait until like 4 days. And plus, something I really enjoy is the Good Smile exclusives. I always pick up the Nandroids and the Figmas. It's an adventure. For nowadays, I just play it by ear nowadays.
Are there certain things that are like absolutely must do each year or must visit these places?
Good Smile's one of them. This has always been for me. The first 2 hours, I've always just spent wandering the exhibit hall because I might want this, I might want that. It's just so many things I want. So that's just for me. And then I've got to go visit the gaming area because I just like to go see the arcades. I see that you guys have round 1 this year, which is kind of cool. It's just so many things. It's hard to explain because it's just autographs. So I just don't have a lot of free time because there's just so many things I want to do. Not only my press, I'm still a huge fan.
That's true. That you do have to pick and choose, but hopefully the new organization with all the autograph sessions works out better for you, so that you don't have to wait in line as much. Since
I'm the guy that camps out at like 3 a.m. to get in the autograph line tickets.
I once saw someone tweet a photo that someone brought a hammock to the autograph line, like the kind that has the poles that you set up. And
yeah. Now, me and my friends bring our chairs, our fold-out chairs. So we're just sitting there, just waiting. We get there like 3 a.m. Play on our what last year was our Switch or our Vitas or our Game Boys, just to kill time. But we have fun because we make friends with people in line. It's not ideal that I want to be at 3 in the morning, but if these guests I want to see, I've got to do it because I want to do it. It's again pick and choose what I want to do.
Yeah. Lines are interesting.
I've actually got to be. I'm gonna be 12 at midnight tonight. Bookwalker's doing a ticket giveaway for the Konosuba creator. So I'm like, I've got to be up for that because I want that ticket because I missed the first round. So just stuff like that I've got to be ready for.
Yeah, and it's just a lot of information. So
tell me about it. And then like a week and a half later is Comic-Con, so it's just like I've got to do that again right after.
Yeah.
Just how it is, though. It's always something I look forward to. But
Awesome.
thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in about a week and a half.
Yes, we'll see you soon.
Yeah. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.